She had finally escaped a violent marriage, rebuilt her life, and was raising 3 children on her own. But just when it seemed peace had returned, tragedy struck in the most unthinkable way. What really happened to Jennifer Bellony and her teenage daughter? And how did the man she once loved become the face of her worst nightmare? Jennifer Bellony was a fighter. She had survived years of domestic abuse at the hands of the man she once called her husband. After gathering enough courage, she walked away, got a divorce, and began rebuilding her life with her 3 children. She had plans. She had hope. She was finally free, or so she thought. On the morning of April 13th, 2022, in North Lauderdale, Florida, a fatal incident occurred involving 32-year-old Jennifer Bellony and her 15-year-old daughter, Anastasia. They were both shot and killed outside their residence during what began as a routine school morning. The gunman was later identified as Jennifer's ex-husband and Anastasia's father, Andre O'Dane Anglin. Jennifer and Andre had previously shared a volatile relationship that ended in divorce. Prior to their separation, there had been legal action initiated by Jennifer, including a domestic violence restraining order in 2018. Despite the legal protection and the eventual dissolution of their marriage in 2020, reports show that the relationship remained unstable and tense in the years following. On the day of the incident, Jennifer had just exited her home with her children, preparing to take them to school. According to reports, she noticed someone outside and ended a phone call moments before shots rang out. Neighbors described hearing multiple gunshots, and emergency responders were called to the scene shortly after. Both Jennifer and her daughter were declared dead at the scene. Her 2 sons were present, but physically unharmed. The suspect fled the scene, prompting an extensive manhunt by the Broward Sheriff's Office and other law enforcement agencies across the region. Andre Anglin was eventually located on April 18, 2022, at a gas station on Sunrise Boulevard. Law enforcement reported that he was found deceased inside the bathroom from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Manhunt over for the suspect wanted for killing his ex-wife and daughter in North Lauderdale.
And deputies finding Andre Anglin dead in Fort Lauderdale. That's where we find Local 10's Terrell Tournay live with the investigation. Terrell.
This was a very big manhunt that, BSO was involved in, and that manhunt actually came here to this gas station on West Sunrise Boulevard, but it all came to a sudden end after a single gunshot was fired inside of the business. The manhunt for a double murder suspect came to an abrupt end Monday at this Circle K gas station where BSO's Viper unit, a team trained in dealing with violent criminals, tracked and cornered Andre Anglin, a man who had been on the run for nearly a week. It was just last week Wednesday when cops say Anglin shot and killed his ex-wife, Jennifer Bellony, and her teenage daughter, Anastasia. The crime happened in broad daylight in a parking lot in North Lauderdale in the 7900 block of Tam O'Shanter Boulevard. When deputies arrived, they found the girl and her mom both dead near a car seen with its doors open. Despite their overwhelming grief, relatives made a direct public appeal to the man accused of pulling the trigger.
Turn yourself in. Bring us peace, Andre. We did nothing but good to you.
Fast forward to this Circle K gas station at West Sunrise Boulevard and 9th Avenue in Fort Lauderdale, where BSO deputies converged just before 6 p.m. Here they learned Anglin was in a restroom, but when they tried to make contact with the murder suspect, they heard a shot. That's when cops forced their way inside of that bathroom and found Anglin dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. In a statement, Broward Sheriff Gregory Toney called Anglin a coward for taking his own life instead of facing justice for the heinous murders he committed. And Anglin's remains right now are in the custody of the Broward Medical Examiner's Office. They will determine an official cause and manner of death, but BSO at this point, they are pretty confident that the end result was suicide. No one else was injured in this incident. Reporting live from Fort Lauderdale tonight, I'm Terrell Tournay, Local 10 News.
This closed the case, as the primary suspect had died before being taken into custody or facing trial. The event was documented as a domestic violence-related double homicide, and it triggered widespread coverage across Florida and national media outlets. The incident raised renewed concerns over the enforcement and effectiveness of protective legal orders in domestic situations. In the days that followed, the home became a gathering place for friends, family, and community members paying tribute. Candles, photos, and handwritten notes were placed on the lawn in remembrance of the victims. The story left a lasting impact on local residents and highlighted the ongoing risks faced by individuals with a known history of domestic conflict. Welcome to True Crime Diaries, the place where we uncover shocking stories, unsolved cases, and deep mysteries from the world of crime. From real events to breakthroughs in investigation, we break it all down so you can see what really happened. Before we begin, don't forget to tap the subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? Drop your thoughts as this story unfolds. Your opinion counts. These are real people, real events, and serious lessons we must not ignore. Share this video with someone you care about. It could make a difference, maybe even save a life. Let's get started. Jennifer Bellony was a 32-year-old woman who lived in North Lauderdale, Florida, with her 3 children. She had been working to provide a stable life for her family following a difficult separation from her former husband, Andre Anglin. Those close to her described her as responsible and focused on raising her children with care. She had 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter, Anastasia. Jennifer often handled parenting duties on her own, especially after her marriage ended. She was known for maintaining structure at home and ensuring her children stayed on track with school and other responsibilities. Before her death, Jennifer had taken legal action to distance herself from Andre Anglin. She filed for a domestic violence injunction in 2018, citing repeated incidents that made her fear for her safety. The divorce was finalized in 2020, and she gained primary custody of the children. Despite the legal separation, Jennifer continued to encounter problems related to her former spouse. She remained cautious and often limited interactions with him. Documentation showed that she tried to shield her children from conflict while maintaining stability at home. Jennifer did not work in a high-profile job, but she was consistent in meeting her family's needs. Community members said she mostly kept to herself, focusing on parenting and daily tasks. Her lifestyle reflected a desire for peace and normalcy after several turbulent years. Her daughter Anastasia was 15 years old and attended a local school. She was often seen by neighbors walking with her mother or spending time with her younger siblings. The mother-daughter relationship was described as close and cooperative, with Jennifer taking an active role in guiding Anastasia through her teenage years. Jennifer Bellony's background reveals a woman who had experienced hardship but continued to move forward. She took legal steps when necessary, maintained control of her household, and dedicated her time to raising her children in a structured environment. Her focus remained on building a life that was safer than the one she left behind. Jennifer Bellony and Andre O'Dane Anglin were once legally married and shared 3 children together. Their relationship began several years prior to their divorce in 2020 and was marked by repeated instances of conflict and instability. Over time, the relationship became strained, leading to increased tension and eventual legal intervention. Records show that in 2018, Jennifer sought a court-issued injunction for protection against domestic violence. The request detailed troubling behavior and described ongoing distress linked to her husband's actions. She cited safety concerns not only for herself, but also for her children. Though they remained legally married for a short time after the restraining order was filed, the relationship continued to deteriorate. Communications between the two reportedly became minimal and strictly centered around matters concerning their children. No joint public appearances or outings were recorded in the years following the injunction. By 2020, the marriage officially ended in divorce proceedings that granted Jennifer primary responsibility over the children. The terms of the divorce included limited visitation for Andre Anglin and restrictions meant to reduce direct interaction between both parties. These agreements were filed in family court and placed in a legal record. Despite the legal separation, issues reportedly continued to surface. Jennifer was said to have maintained a cautious approach when dealing with matters involving her former husband. There were indications she remained concerned about possible future confrontations and monitored her surroundings closely. Andre Anglin was not known to be cooperative in co-parenting matters. Family members reported that he often ignored court boundaries and maintained aggressive behavior, even after the relationship had legally ended. No formal reconciliation efforts were ever reported between the two following the divorce. Their relationship history, as documented, was characterized by legal filings, protective measures, and consistent attempts by Jennifer to keep her household safe. The years between the divorce and the shooting involved minimal contact but persistent concern, establishing a pattern of avoidance and fear that preceded the final incident. On April 13, 2022, at approximately 9 a.m., Jennifer Bellony prepared to leave her residence located on Tam O'Shanter Boulevard in North Lauderdale. She was in the process of getting her children ready for the day and stepping outside the home when the situation quickly escalated into violence. Shortly after exiting the house, she encountered an unexpected presence near the front of the property. According to law enforcement reports, she ended a phone conversation immediately upon noticing someone nearby. This was followed by the sound of multiple gunshots, which neighbors later confirmed hearing. Emergency services were called to the scene following reports of gunfire. Upon arrival, first responders located Jennifer Bellony and her 15-year-old daughter, Anastasia, lying unresponsive outside the home. Both were pronounced dead at the scene by medical personnel. Law enforcement initiated a perimeter and began processing the area for evidence. Witness statements and surveillance footage from the vicinity helped confirm the presence of Andre Anglin at the scene around the time of the shooting. He had already fled before authorities arrived. Two other children present inside the home during the event were unharmed and placed under protective supervision. Law enforcement officials contacted child services and next of kin to ensure the surviving children were taken into appropriate care. The area was cordoned off for several hours while detectives conducted interviews, collected physical evidence, and reviewed camera footage. No immediate arrests were made, but authorities named Andre O'Dane Anglin as the primary suspect shortly after the investigation began. This timeline marked the beginning of a multi-day manhunt that involved various police units and regional alerts. The scene was later cleared and turned over to the family, who began setting up a memorial in front of the home where the shooting occurred. After the double homicide on April 13, 2022, the Broward Sheriff's Office assumed control of the investigation. Detectives secured the crime scene, documented forensic evidence, and interviewed neighbors who reported hearing gunshots that morning. The area was thoroughly examined for ballistic traces and surveillance recordings. Investigators worked quickly to identify Andre O'Dane Anglin as the primary suspect based on eyewitness accounts and video footage from surrounding properties. Authorities issued a statewide bulletin for his arrest and began tracking potential leads connected to his known associates and locations he frequented. Public alerts were distributed through local media, requesting assistance from residents who may have seen or interacted with Anglin following the incident. Law enforcement agencies across Florida were notified, and coordinated efforts were launched to monitor key areas, including highways, transportation centers, and nearby counties. During the manhunt, police traced several tips regarding Anglin's possible whereabouts. Surveillance teams monitored specific locations, while digital investigators reviewed any communications or activity from his known devices. The investigation remained active with multiple divisions participating in the search. 5 days after the incident, on April 18, 2022, Anglin was found at a gas station on Sunrise Boulevard. Deputies responded to the location following a lead and conducted a search of the premises. He was discovered deceased inside a restroom with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Following the discovery, the case was officially closed. No criminal trial or court hearing took place, as the suspect was no longer alive. The Broward County Medical Examiner confirmed the cause of death, and law enforcement issued a formal statement to the press. Law enforcement concluded the investigation by releasing a timeline of events and reinforcing the classification of the case as a domestic-related double homicide. Final reports were filed, and no further suspects were identified. The weapon used was recovered nearby and logged as evidence. Initial forensic examination determined the wound to be self-inflicted. There were no indications of struggle or outside involvement in his death. The Broward County Medical Examiner later confirmed the cause of death as suicide by firearm. Authorities confirmed that Anglin had been under active investigation as the primary suspect in the North Lauderdale double homicide. With his death, the legal case concluded without a trial, prosecution, or formal charges filed in court. Law enforcement held a press briefing following the discovery. Officials stated that the search had involved multiple jurisdictions and that his death brought an end to the pursuit. The sheriff's office acknowledged that no additional suspects were being sought. Public access to the investigation's final report was granted shortly after the case closed. Documents outlined the suspect's last known movements, witness accounts, and the investigative timeline leading to his discovery. The incident remained recorded in official records as a domestic-related murder-suicide. With the suspect deceased and no other individuals involved, the criminal proceedings were terminated and no further legal actions were pending. Following the deaths of Jennifer Bellony and her daughter Anastasia, the remaining members of the Bellony family stepped into care for the two surviving boys. Arrangements were made through local authorities and child services to ensure the children's safety and placement within trusted custody. A small memorial quickly formed outside the family's home. Neighbors, friends, and local residents brought candles, photographs, and flowers to honor the victims. Community members who had never met Jennifer also contributed items as a gesture of support and solidarity. Local media outlets continued to report on the case for several days, covering both the deaths and the conclusion of the manhunt. News segments summarized the timeline, highlighted the victims' identities, and reported on the confirmed details shared by law enforcement. Schools in the area acknowledged the loss of a student and offered counseling services to classmates and staff. Anastasia's absence was felt at her school, where staff held a moment of silence and encouraged students to speak with assigned counselors as needed. Community organizations that focus on family safety and domestic incidents referenced the case in their outreach. Some local advocates used the event as a point of discussion in efforts to increase awareness and preventive action surrounding domestic-related violence. No public fundraisers or official foundations were established in the immediate weeks following the event, but several online tribute pages were created. These digital memorials allowed friends, classmates, and residents to leave comments, light virtual candles, and share memories of the victims. As time passed, the house remained a point of quiet remembrance in the neighborhood. Though law enforcement concluded its work, the case continued to be referenced in discussions about protection orders and post-divorce safety planning. The names of Jennifer and Anastasia Bellony remained documented as part of the official record. How effective are restraining orders in preventing domestic violence incidents like this one? Do you think Jennifer Bellony's case could have been prevented with different intervention methods? What more can be done to protect victims once they've left abusive relationships? Should law enforcement use GPS monitoring for individuals with a history of domestic violence? Do you think the justice system needs stricter enforcement on domestic violence protection orders? How should communities respond when they know someone is at risk? That's a wrap on today's case. But the story doesn't stop here. There are countless voices still unheard, stories still in the shadows, and truths still waiting to be uncovered. Here at True Crime Diaries, we're dedicated to digging deep, exposing the facts, honoring the victims, and keeping their memories alive. If today's case opened your eyes, just know more powerful stories are coming. Stories that will make you pause, reflect, and ask tough questions. Hit subscribe, like this video, turn on notifications so you're always first to know when a new case drops. We post regularly, and what's coming next is something you won't want to miss. Now it's your turn. What stood out to you in today's case? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until we meet again, stay informed, stay alert, stay safe. Because justice begins with truth, every voice matters. Every story deserves to be told.